Hi, I'm Nick Bonner for treestuff.com, and in this video we're going to look at some of the friction savers that are available for the modern arborist, what some of the differences are between them and some of the more specialized models. First, I'd like to talk about these basic tube style cambium savers. We have here a Dan House version. This is made out of a metal conduit. This is kind of an evolved version of your original Weaver leather cambium saver. These are used by simply putting the bitter or sharp end of your rope through the end and around the other side, and then these go over the branch, protecting the branch from the friction of a moving rope system. These are both great. The leather ones tend to wear in a little more. Some people prefer these because they can be a little easier to use and a little longer wearing. These are easy to retrieve. You can retrieve these with simply a knot in your rope. So you can just tie a knot and that'll pull out, and it'll very rarely, I've never heard of a knot going through one of these. I don't think that's possible. So easy to retrieve. Some cons, they use a different remote setting process, which can actually be a little easier than some of these other ones. So I guess that's not a con. They're not as smooth running for sure as the ones that use metal or have a pulley. So that's basically these in a nutshell. There's other videos online to learn how to set these and other ways to do that from the ground. Here we have a basic rope style ring and ring friction saver. This is an adjustable version. This has become pretty much the benchmark, I think, in today's world. So here you have a Prusik. You'll make sure that that's tied, dressed, and set. It's kind of new. And this allows you to set the friction saver to the desired branch size and make sure that it fits really well. On ring and ring style savers, you're going to see a big ring and a little ring. That's going to be used in the retrieval. So again, a knot can be used. Some knots will slip the big ring and jam on the little ring. However, it has been known, especially when they get stuck, for a knot to pull through the smaller ring, leaving your friction saver stuck in the tree. To avoid that, a standard retrieval ball or retrieval link is used. These are generally plastic balls. They're round in shape, and they pass through the big ring and will get stuck on the little ring, dragging the friction saver out, big ring last. These are either girth hitched on the end of your rope or ideally used with a splice. These can be installed remotely from the ground and retrieved. Ring and ring style savers are definitely a little more complicated to set than, say, a tube style saver from the ground, but I think they're infinitely better in my opinion. So these are great, they're durable, they feature sew-and-eye terminations, they're made out of rope that you know and trust, and they look very, very familiar. So these are great tools. They also have an eye on the other end, which can be used for other setups. You can put a carabiner in there and do some other type of cool things. So there's that. The next setup that we have here is similar. This is a Thimble Saver. This actually has a unique, there's a rope sheath here with a piece of rope basketed in. So there's actually two pieces of this 10mm or maybe 9mm reef schnoor inside of here. That makes it nice and flat. It's very stiff and it's kind of techy and cool. This functions very similarly to your ring and ring style, but with these thimbles. This is a nice lightweight version. It does use its own special retrieval ball. Most standard ones will jam against both of the thimbles, so that's not so great. And you'll want to use this DMM large retrieval cone, which will pass through the bigger thimble and jam on the smaller one. There have been reports of users having trouble installing spliced ropes remotely through these, especially with fatter lines. So if you use a 1/2-inch climbing line with an eye splice, especially on both ends, this might not be the best one for you. You will notice it does not have a load-bearing eye at the other end, like the sewn rope ones. So you may be somewhat limited in some of the things you can do, but there's a ton of great DMM videos that show some of the more advanced stuff you can do with this and some of the other DMM primary suspension point or friction saver tools. So that's the Thimble Saver, a really nice and sleek and tech-forward option. Here, we have the Pulley Saver. The Pulley Saver is kind of like the Mack daddy of friction savers. Definitely the grandfather of this style. There's other things like the U-Saver and other kind of do-it-yourself projects that achieve some of the things that this does. But this is the one that started it all. What you'll notice here is that you have a pulley and a thimble. So you could use this ignoring this and ignoring this, you could use this like a friction saver if you wanted. And you could set it remotely and retrieve it very similar to how you would set the Thimble Saver or a regular ring and ring friction saver remotely. This retrieves with the smaller of the two DMM retrieval cones, which is an important designation to make. That will pass through the Pinto pulley, but catch on this smaller thimble, allowing you to retrieve this if you have it set up in that ring and ring. That's not the primary function of the Pulley Saver. The primary function of the Pulley Saver is to be set in a choking configuration like this, with the pulley through this reinforced soft die, and you'll see how that's held open by a stiffener inside of it. This allows you to choke your friction saver on a spar and use it when you wouldn't be able to use a traditional friction saver. Also with the pulley, you get a much lower friction setup, which can be smoother and faster for climbing. In this configuration, the thimble is actually used as the retrieval link, so your rope threads up through the thimble, through the pulley, and then back down with both legs of your climbing system. So when you go to retrieve this, the rope will clear through here, the ball gets caught here, and it pulls the pulley out, allowing the whole system to come down off the tree and back to you. So this is just some of the friction savers that are available. There are different instances of many of these, bigger, smaller, longer, shorter. There's webbing versions of your traditional ring and ring friction savers, and then there's a lot of friction saver accessories that are available as well. So please check out our website, treestuff.com, for these and all other friction savers. Thanks.